They say looks can be deceiving. At first glance, I thought you were not much to look at. All icing, no cake, all steam, not much brew. But the night air sings of fulfilling ancient dreams. The moon whispers of tenderness for the smallest of them, for the unheard, the unseen. And as the sun breaks through our heroes' memories, your blinding smile hits my heart like the warrior's blade, like Lapu-Lapu's spear. But the far seas beckon you. The memories on these walls try to soothe the pain of parting. I seek for your warmth, but only these sheets comfort me. My tears are salt water flowing to bridge the seas and islands that divide us. The stars listen to my sighs as I look for you in the skies. And now you're here. Our love blazes like the fire of our heroes' revolution. Our hearts entwined is such sweet victory, incomparable, like the journey of our people, like the richness of our culture.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Well, Ansa? Oh, let's just wait for that. Oh, it's. Good afternoon, everyone.
Mga po ninyo.
Hi. Welcome to the first episode of Hulma and Friends, our poetry reading radio show.
There is a Palm Grass Hotel.
I'm one of your hosts, Arian Lazaga from STEM 11H.
O ako di ay si Kendall Kabatingan sa Humes 11A. And today, magpasalamat sa amin sa Palm Grass for giving us this kind of opportunity, this space to share our writing as young Cebuano poets. Woo! And actually, guys, live me right now sa Palm Grass. There is a hongkera, onya, dapit-dapit rin sa backgate sa USC Main. Woo! USC.
So, for our first episode, our theme is empowering women and empowering educators, which is like, so relevant right now because it's actually Educators Month. So, if any of you guys here in the audience, while we're doing our poetry, if you feel inspired to write, you can like go ahead and write because we also have an open mic later. Walk-ins. So if you feel inspired to write from what we're talking about, you can write. Yeah.
Okay, so Suganata,
Yeah.
are we ready? Yeah! So, this first batch of poets kay gikan ni sila sa STEM 12 for their spoken poetry. So, first, let me introduce Glycy Claire Suico from STEM 12S2 as she reads her poem.
Hi, so I'm Glycy Clary Suico from STEM 12S2,
And my poem is more about gender equality and women empowerment. So let me start. The title is Babay Good Ako. Babay ako, babay rako, babay lang di ay ko. Yawit sa mga tao magsunod-sunod, "Psst, babay ramang ka, ika kasabot, babay ra ka, maura imong abot. Ngano di ay og babay ko, ana nakagamay ang pagtanaw sa ako. Sa kining kalibutana ko nagantos, nga matubag ning mga pangutanang nagbalik-balik nga hapdos. Babay ra ko, di ko ka kontra. Dapat na akong ilugar ang akong pagstorya. Magpasensya ay na og dayon-dayon. Kay usara ko ka-exam nga angay masayon-sayon. Mura daw iro, sobra ra ka isog, nga ikumparag iring og hinhin. Dapat lingaw daw ko pero ayaw palabii. Katawa sa diha pero ayaw kusga. Unsa naman jud ang buhaton ani kaluluwa. Apan nakahuna-huna ko. Mura kog alaga nga mapriso. Kahadlok ba ni ining panghitabua nga ako'y makahilak sa pagtan-aw nila nga kapwa babae. Maong parihan nako og ninyo kitay mo abanti. Kining mga pilak na kapugong buhii. Tan-aw sa taas ayaw kaulaw, magpakita tang tanan nga murag bag-ong panhaw. Isyagit na sa tibuok kalibutan, patas tang tanan nga maingong gamhanan. Pariharata walay taas unas ubos. Dungga intaw ning akong pulong. Kusgan ko kay lalaki ko, kusgan ko kay babae ko. Ako ning kinaiya nga angay ipaglambo, mao ang kaya sa uban, kaya pud nako. Hangtod sa dili nagamay ang pagtan-aw sa ako. Dili ikumparag exam na masayon-sayon. Mubalik ko sa mga yawit. Babay lang di ay ko? O, babay ra ko. Pero mupahiyom ko nga mag-ingon nga babay good ako. Thank you.
Wow! Not kayo, no? So, for the second poet, we also have Arakija Pauline Roma from STEM 12S2. So let's hear her poetry, guys.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Arakija Polinsi Roma. I am from STEM 12S2 and here is my poetry. Edukasyon usa ka panulundon. Libro nga perting bugata, pitaka nga way sulod na kwarta. Ako usa ka estudyante nga nagtrabaho para sa kaugmaon nga akong ginadamgo. Tuon diri trabaho didto at timan permi para sa akong inahan nga saksi sa akong mga kahago ug daog nga sa iya mauray importante. Usa ka gabion gunit gihapon ang libro. Scholarship ang kahayag sa ngiob nga kwarto. Suway pagbasol, gitulo nako tanan kalisod, kay mao kini ang akong gisulod. Ang edukasyon usa ka nagpahipi nga dalan, ni aninag klaro ang katuyuan. Haduol na, usa na lang katikang, alas maharuhay na ang kahimtang. Daghan na katunan sa naagian, puno man og kalisdanan pero para sa kaayuhan. Gamhanan nga makapabag-o sa kalibutan. Sama sa adlaw, gasidlak, nagdala og kaayuhan. Tungod sa edukasyon, nakabot ko akong damgo. Saksi ang kada adlaw nako ginabitbit nga libro. Usa nako ka doktor gatabang sa mga pasyente. Sama sa akong mama nga sa kinabuhi ni Abante. Usa ka pamana ang nga ihatag sa sunod nga henerasyon. Alang sa mga nagpangandoy sa kalampusan, edukasyon, atong inspirasyon.
So, very nice jud kayo ang mga balak sa balak sa mga kuan sa STEM 12, no? So, woo! Give them a round of applause, guys. So magsugod na ta sa interview portion. So first, ninyo duha, unsay naka-inspire ninyo sa pagsulat sa inyong mga balak?
So, sa ako kay kanang mura bitaw siya og message sa mga kanang mga student nga nagtrabaho nga nagtabang pod sa ilahang mga parents sa ilahang mga financial nga kailangan. And then ang akong inspiration jud kay akong mom kay while I'm writing this poem kay naara sad siya sa akong kilid. And then murag lipay kay siya nga nagtan-aw nako while writing this poem.
So same sa kang ara no. So for mine kay mura siya kanang natigom na nako akong emotions. Kay as you can see the poem kay murag intense gid siya. Nya dito na siya nga part nga murag nabuak nako because I really wanted to kanang say everything pero dili na ako maingon. Kay as you can see in the poem dakan kay maingon nga yawit sa mga tao preventing me to speak. So through this poem murag makaingon ko sa akong gibati o pamaayo.
Yeah, that's really like the power of poetry, guys. You can really share what's on your mind, and it really goes with our theme this month, especially with what you said about your mom. Because it's really important that we have our education, and you also need to support them because they're the ones who are helping us achieve our goals.
Yes, especially with the empowerment of women kay murag importante jud kayo kung ang mga babae sa atong life unya it's so desolate when with people kanang put them down, no? So gusto sa ko mangunta na unsay inyong ay aside from that na may mga inspiration like as like writing inspiration like writers that maybe you kanang murag inyong nahuna samtang gaswat mo like oh my god mura ni kinsi kuan like mga ingana.
Okay, so sa ako would be the one that we've been tackling sa lit, si Adonis Dorado. I really liked his poem kay ang in-depth sa iyang words ug sa way sa paggamit niya kay napakita jud niya ang in-depth nga emotion nga ganahan jud ipakita and not just kanang mga lighter emotions but once you really read the poem niya kay makakita jud ka nga hala ingana day ang pasabot day niya.
The same as sa Niglay si Adonis Dorado and then ganahan nun ta ko kanang i-share sa ninyo ang poem na akong na-read niya kanang dili tanan matagak kay mahagbong kana siya and then more siya ni-relate sa ako apod kay sa education dili man jud na malikayan ang mga kanang lisod nga kaagian, 'di ba? And then sa iyang giingon nga dili tanan matagak mahagbong kay when you fail, of course, nasay time nga mo rise up kaagan. And then naapod ang mga support systems na mo help nimo like your friends and your families.
Speaking of, we also have other works by living Cebuano poets today that we're selling here at Palmgrass.
Si Adonis Dorado po ni siya diri kay.
Yeah, and we have other books too that we're selling here at Palmgrass.
So yes. So akong next kay para ninyo samtang ga-study mo kanang poetry syempre sa inyong lit and also sa pagsulat ninyo like what do you think makes a poem good? Unsay makapanindot sa mga balak na inyong gipangsuwat, inyong gipambasa?
For me kay kanang the choice of words really matters and then ang emotions pod na imong gi-go through and the experiences nga imong kanang mura nimo gi-connect sa imong poem and for me mao jud na ang pinaka the best.
So same with Ara, the choice of words jud ang grabe jud kay sa wording man ka makakita sa kanang author if hala ingani iyang pasabot. And another thing kay ang figurative language nga ilang gigamit kay sometimes makasabot ka more sa poetry if i-compare siya to another thing. So mas positive siya for the reader side kay mas makasabot sila. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really true because, poetry, it's like, it's not just what you're trying to say, it's also how you say it, like you said, because it's really important the way we speak. And especially with spoken poetry, right? Because we're not just reading it, we're really expressing it in our own voices. Like the ways we really liked how you guys spoke your poems,
Nindot kayo aning performance.
Yeah. So like, how do you guys find that kind of conviction to speak your poetry, especially since it's kind of nerve-wracking to be speaking for an audience?
I think kay kuan jud na It's how you write your poem, bitaw. It doesn't really come from presenting jud. It's about how you resonate with your poem. The more you resonate with your poem, the more emotional ka makadeliver sa imong speech. The more emotional, the more makaget siya sa readers. Yeah, the more they can feel the emotions of the said poem.
Yes, the same as sa gingon ni Glycy. And for me, kanang ikaw man gud ang nakaibaw sa imong poem. So, murag inig ka, the way inig ka deliver nimo, kay murag wala na bitaw kay paki kung unsa ang kanang kung unsay mahitabo nana. And then, ang sa ako alang kay kanang kung unsa akong mga emotions nga mapakita, mao lang sa jud ang importante.
Yeah, that's really true. Because, like, yeah, you guys are the ones who wrote it. So you really know the emotions that you want to convey when you speak it. So there's really a really sense of like a personal level when you speak your own poetry, right?
So with the emotions po na inyong nabati, do you think like nakaagi mo like mga difficulties like translating those emotions sa inyong mga poems?
Murag wala ra man sad for me. And for me kay katong again ang choice of words kay if kasabot ra sad ka sa imong own poem kay dili ra man sad ka maglisod og deliver sa emotions.
For me, I don't think maglisod ko to convey my emotions. Kay, as makita ninyo sa akong poet, I can only say, put the words nga nakabaw jud ko. But that's also something nga ganahan ko maka-change sa akong poem. Maybe deeper words for a deeper meaning.
That's true, yeah. Because, like, it's really important. But especially, I really appreciate how both of your poems, your spoken words are both in Bisaya. Because that's really something we really have to maintain in Cebu, our poetry in Bisaya, our native language, you know?
Exactly, yun yung nagtackle siya sa jug, mga important issues. Anya, sa uban pag yun, like, mas accessible jud ang Bisaya kay mas masabtan nila being their native tongue. So, do you think with Bisaya or English, like, would you have preferred to write it in another language or murag okay ra jud mo sa pagsuwat og balak sa Bisaya?
For me, okay ra jud na ako nga mag-write sa Bisaya because the intensity of the emotions mas mapakita na ako sa choice of words na ako. Kay for through English, murag mangita pa kog word nga mo correspond sa ani nga halay ani ka immense ang emotion. Pero for Bisaya, murag mo popper siya sa imong head nga kanimo ni akong gamiton kay mo ni perfect gamiton.
For me kay murag it doesn't matter jud kung unsay kanang language na imong gamiton. For me kay mas comfy lang jud ko sa Bisaya because mao man jud ang ato ang language na ginagamit, and then murag mas comfy sad ko makashow sa ako ang real emotions sa ako ang mga naagian through Cebuano.
So, among your poems, namoy maingon like, what is the most striking line or the most striking stanza or segment na namurag na feel jud ninyo pag-perform ninyo, pagsulat ninyo, anything like that?
Like something you really want to leave for the audience to think about even after you're done performing.
Maybe sa katong sama sa adlaw nga gasidlak nagdala siya og kaayuhan. Ang education man good kanang this kanang karon na generation is mura na bitaw siya nabiyaan, and then murag nawala na ang iyang importance sa other people, and then mo na akong ganahan i-show sa mga youth ron nga ang education is the fundamental unit jud sa ato ang kinabuhi, and then that's it lang, like mura siya sun nga naghatag og kaayuhan atong tanan.
For me, kay katong part na, ngano di ayog babae ko, ana nakagamay ang pagtanaw sa ako. I think kana nga part sa poem kay mo ni strike na ako. Kay mao man gid na ang pangutana nga magsigig pakita sa akong brain nga, ngano di ayog babae ko, naa di kalahian og babae ko nya lalaki ka. Naa jud siya kanang impact bitaw sa ako as a fellow woman myself. So I think I also want to relate it to the others nga I don't think kailangan pa kagamay ang pagtanaw sa imo. You can rise on your own.
Yeah, like we said, it's really important that you can convey these important messages for your poem. So it's really nice what you're doing. It's like talking about these issues, but really need to be said. So, what do you think is like the part that really made you decide nga this is the issue that I want to talk about, no? Kay there's lots of topics that could be chosen. So this is like clearly nga this is what you wrote your poem about. So it's really a special thing that you really care about, no?
Sa part sa ako, I think it would be katuningon ko nga babay lang di ay ko. Kay it talks about women empowerment man. Nya kana nga line kay naghisgot siya about how other people see me. Nya how other people view me, nya unsaon nila pagstorya sa ako nya sakit bitaw siya kanang paminawon. Kay na-degrade ko into something nga ingana ra kung pwede man ta to nga mas mudako pa unta ko.
Maybe sa ako is going back to my title, which is Edukasyon usa ka panulundon. For those na wala kay baon sa meaning sa panulundon, it is actually a legacy. And then for me kay kanang ang ako ang legacy, more bitaw siya magpabilin and mo give siyag inspiration sa mga students who are working or students nga naglisod nga to continue lang kay ang education man jud ang makatabang nato sa ato.
So, thank you kayo sa atong mga poets diri. Gusto din mi magpasalamat pod sa among lugar diri sa Palmgrass, and especially the poems with these themes, women empowerment and honoring educators. It's very important that we do that. And with poetry, makashed jud tag light sa aning mga issues unya murag kasad kayo siya paminahon basta balak kay mo jud ang mother tongue, no? So, coming up, we have a short performance from our own USC Sonata Senior High School Band Club. Please clap for Astigmatism, guys.
So our band is still setting up again, astigmatism, but here they are. Woo!
Bloom from Sonata Band Club and USC Senior High School. Okay, so for our first performance will be Huwag Kang Matakot by Eraserheads. Enjoy and thank you!
Ay sasaluhin kita. Ako na matulog ka isa. Pag-ibig na ako sa'yo. Diyos at hari ng Diyos. Dapat sila sa'yo. Huwag matakot na matulog ka sa everybody! Takot na umibig at lumuha. Huwag matakot na umibig at lumuha. Huwag matakot. sa sine. Ayoko nang umasa pa sa walang silbi. Ayoko tumawid ng pagpinagkarawal. Ayoko ng kaping maraming kasutan. Ayoko bumili ng underwear na mahal. Hindi naman yun tayo. Basta
Hi everyone! Welcome back! I hope you used that intermission to, get a drink, get some food. And now that we're back, we are going to have some fun because our next poets who are speaking today are actually from Hulma itself. But before that, we'd like to thank again Palmgrass Cebu Heritage Hotel for letting us use their space for our Hulma and Friends poetry reading. Like we've been saying, it's really important that us, the writers of the next current generation, really have this space to develop our poetry and our writing. Because, we're like literally the future of Cebuano literature. So thank you again to Palm Grass Hotel for letting us use their space. And on October 19, Palm Grass is going to be having Alim, Healing Heritage of Visayas, which is going to have Ati Ethnomedicine, and we're going to have a video screening, the Siki Horror Story, and also it's going to be the Alima Native Massage Anniversary. So yeah, make sure you come join us then for those activities too, because we got a lot going on here at Palmgrass. Like for real, you know. So thank you again to Palmgrass for letting us use their space. And next up, we're gonna have some poets from Hulma itself. And in fact, our first speaker is someone that you've already been acquainted to, someone you know and someone you love, who at least I hope you love her already. One, Kendall Kabatingan! Woo!
What's up, guys? So, first, I'll start with mythology. Ah. Subjective truths build their homes in the bodies of those so complicated that they figure that God must be complicated too. So incredibly empathic that the little pieces of God in them are the hard parts. Gaia was born of too much chaos in the world. The universe was too hot, so the Big Bang birthed the galaxies. Bathala created the world for people, and God made us last. We all need a religion. Some have a steady framework, some have tough walls, some have methodically placed wooden boards that make the ugly insides look less ugly. So what if it's not real? Many demons are normal figures seen by someone near blind. Many angels are normal figures with an absence behind their back, forming big wings that only emptiness can create. So for my second poem, we have Defenses of Moonlight. So, dearest scribe, tell me this. Why does the moon hold this eternal significance in songs, books, and poems? Why does the moon turn the tides and guide the worshippers? Bad things happen under moonlight. So bad that the sun doesn't dare touch half of these problems, leaving it to your dear Luna, who runs away as dawn manifests in the sky. Does the daybreak trigger a flight response? Is cowardice synonymous with freedom? Give me the words and I'll string them. Together, all I need is to be heard. Reader, all it does is reflect the light of the star that guides the rest of us common people. Greatness is only found in imitation. What of muses? What of odes? Light seeps through cracks in the walls and slithers of windows in blackout curtains and kilowatts and volts. Daylight is no different, with soul reaching us through dear Luna. Even absent, present does it remain. When nightfall comes, the moon shines with beauty it stole from the sun. Freedom is not synonymous with theft. The sky is an unbalanced beam ruling the world. Sol is just as guilty as Luna, maybe even worse. Thanks, guys.
And that was the poems by Kendall Kabatingan. Woo! Oh. So, Kel, I've noticed that in your poetry, there's really a theme of these like celestial bodies or things that are like really greater than what we are, you know? So, can you tell me like what you think why that might be one of your main inspirations in writing? Because, you know, in your second poem, it was really about like these gods in legends. And in your third, it was about the sun and the moon, which are all these really heavenly bodies, you know? Can you tell me why you chose those as like your main inspiration for writing?
Yeah, so I like the idea of witnessing something greater than us humans, you know? Especially with mythology. I used it as an outlet to really like let out my feelings, my own personal feelings on religion, which di kasukan ko panelist. Pero aside from that, in Defenses of Moonlight, this originally, well, I didn't really think of the theme of like celestial bodies and like greater things because suwat lang ko. Pero like now that you've said it, I think finding or like writing about things that we really cannot comprehend fully or concepts that people have been studying since maybe like the start of everything ever. It's so interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true because these things like religions and the sun and the moon, these are really things that are just constantly with us, all the way through human history, like since the ancient times and whatever. I recently learned that the Stone Age was 3 million years long. That makes up like 99% of human history. And like even
Wow.
all the way back then, they still had gods and the sun and the
Whoa.
moon. So, that's really a theme that's been constant throughout human history. So, yeah, I agree that it's really interesting to try and explore that, especially in our own modern perspective, right?
Yeah, the contemporary arts.
I love contemporary arts.
I know.
And something I noticed is that with poems, they're really like the speaker reading something or trying to portray something to its audience. But in your third poem, it's in Defenses of Moonlight, your second poem rather. It's not just uh it's not just the poet saying something to the audience because it also comes with its own response. So, what do you think the reader's role is in the poem, given that there is something that is being said and there's already a reply?
The reader is a witness. The reader is not meant to read the poem basically. It's a letter from a scribe. The actual form is the first three stanzas are on the left of the page, and the last three stanzas are on the right of the page. So the reader's purpose there is to see the bickering, to see the tension, to see maybe what these people feel towards each other, and maybe how they communicate, how they feel towards each other, under the guise of the sun and the moon.
So really, the reader is more like somebody looking in a way like an intruder peeking into private conversation between two people.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, by the way, what Kendall said about the format, we are also publishing these poems that she is making. Woo! So
Wow.
it's still coming soon. We don't have an expected date yet, but just be ready because we will be publishing a book, and these poems that were featured today by her are going to be part of them. Woo!
Please keep updated with us as a club to
Yeah.
know.
We have like an Instagram and a Facebook account. You can follow us there. Yeah. Anyway, so both of your poems, do you have like any part of it that's really striking or something that you really want to leave behind in your audience? We can start with your first poem,
I
Mythology.
I want to leave behind the last stanza in mythology, the one that is out of place, but which I meant to write to wrap everything together. So it goes like many demons are normal figures seen by someone near blind. Many angels are normal figures with an absence behind their back. Churva. So I feel like that was the most striking part of the poem for me. And I wanted to leave that behind. In Defense of Moonlight, I like the last portion from the reader. Does daybreak trigger a flight response? Is cowardice synonymous with freedom? It's a very thinky piecey piece of the poem, which I feel like it's the most striking part compared to the other stanzas, which are they're more like playful jibes, if you get me.
Yeah, I get you. And I really noticed that these parts that you wanted to leave behind the reader, like in the formatting of a poem, in the way it's said, these are really like the last parts of a poem. Do you think you could tell me like why you think it really is important that these parts that you really want the reader to think on, you place them at the end and not like, you could put them at the start, you could put them at the middle. Why do you think you decided to make that decision to put them at the end of your poems?
Well, in most of my poetry, actually, ang kinalasan jud ang akong like pinakanindot kay like you know what they say, end things with a bang. Oh, bang sa last. And I feel like kanang maybe the poem stands without itself. Like it's just there until the last part that I write. Kay para na ako na jud na makakome together. Unya marag masabtan na gyud nimo ba like ay nga na there na like it we have this you have this pre-existing thought of the poem's first parts. And then when you reach the last one, it like kind of turns everything back, and you're like, oh, maybe, yeah.
So in a way, the last part to you is more like the conclusion of a poem, or like maybe if you want to really deep something striking, more like the plot twist at the end of a poem, because to really like recontextualize the ideas, make you reread it and really make you think over it.
Uh, it, yes, that is my purpose. Purpose. That is what I wanted to leave with the readers.
So speaking of the way that the reader is like really being left behind, do you think that the way that you wrote it, how much do you want to leave open to the reader's imagination, you think? Because some of it, it's really just going to be for the reader to fill in the gaps that are purposely being left behind. So how much do you want the reader to be able to control in the poem, so to speak?
Well, the poems, the process of writing the poem is for the writer, and the process of reading the poem, of course, is for the reader.
So true.
Wow. It's very shady. Anyways, yes, I wanted to. There, I do want to leave a lot of things open to interpretation. Maybe to the point nga na sobraan ako, it's too open to interpretation. When you murag maglibog ang man ng basa, like, wait, unsa di ay ni, like actually. But yes, I am working on that. Kay kailangan sad nga makasabot sa mga tigbasa sa unsa akong gisuwat, no? So I'm really trying to, on that front, I do want the things to make more sense so that they can also feel what I felt while I was writing. Para pantay.
So to really end it, is there like something when your audience reads a poem, what are you trying to get across to them? There's a way that the readers can interpret it, but there's also really the intention that you're trying to share. So before we move on to our next poet, is there something that you really want your readers to think about, to be left behind? Any thoughts or themes from these pieces specifically that you want them to, think about when they're doing their own thing?
In mythology, I wanted people to see the depths of religion and how it's not all black and white. It's very gray. You can't have this like one set thought on someone's beliefs, especially your own. And in Defenses of Moonlight, this is really just a little fun, whimsy piece. Just really want the reader to think, wow, man, inilagaway, oy. That's it. Thank you.
That's so fun. Woo! Wow, okay, Idol Kendall.
Thanks, I.
Thank you, Cal. And our next poet, like I said, for the rest of this segment, are also going to be Hulma members. So introducing our next poet for who will be reading her poetry. Come on. Woo!
Okay. Hi, I'm Alisa Monica Buka from Hulma. I'm a grade 11 STEM student. So here's my first poem. It's entitled The Day Before College. So, sea and sky and laughter and home. The warm breeze kisses their faces. The feeling of change tags along. Feet buried in the coarse umber sand. Their t-shirts are sticky and their pants are damp. The soundtrack to the scene are the waves crashing and distant off-key karaoke and three voices laughing. The summer air whispers a prophecy of a future apart, and they all feel it, and they all know it, but they cannot bear to part. So they memorize the moment, engrave it deep into their hearts, something to look back on once they all have come far. Everybody celebrates and envies youth, but nobody warns you about all the things you will lose just because you are young, and there is nothing left to do except wish that your lives stay tangled and hope they mean to see you soon. So even though it is getting dark, just because they are all together, they stay by each other's sides for a little while longer. So that was my first poem, and the second, this is entitled Gladiator. So I stand armed in the empty arena, yesterday's cheers still echoing, enveloping me whole, ringing, 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 then silence. Deafening, roaring silence that I almost do not notice her emerging from the darkness. There is no familiar screech of the blade she drags across the concrete, and instead of thunderous stomps, she's limping and skittish like an injured fawn. So I ask, "Where is the monster?" And she says, "Here I am." My sword is still raised. I dare not put it down. I do not ask her to forgive my hostility. Dried crimson blood on the floor, spilled from both of our skins. Mirrored scars, identical wounds. But she is black eyed and bruised, and I have only ever let her taste my sword. "I am not who I want to be," she says. "But did you have to turn me into you?" I ask in return. She looks away, and I cry. And she moves towards me with her arms wide open, but I want to push her away, but she is the only one there. So I cry, and I welcome her embrace, and she wipes my tears, and she dries her face.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
So I really want to ask you, with your two poems, they feel very confessional, they're very relatable, especially at our age, These are things that we can really talk about and think about. So can I ask how you were able to manage to write your poems to be like really emotions that you can feel for yourself, but at the same time something that an audience can also resonate with?
Um, I think the topics that I chose to write about were very relevant in our at our age. It's something that all people our age, almost maybe like actually all people our age
Yeah.
feel right
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah, because we're still kids and we're in the process of growing up, and that's a major theme in both of my poems actually. The feeling of having, gaining and losing friends, of growing up and losing and finding yourself.
Yeah, I really like that because like it's something that we can really relate to, and to bring back what we've said before, poetry is really a way we can express ourselves, and it's not just on things that we care about, but it's also how we're feeling, our own emotions. So can I ask you why you chose this specific thing to talk about? Because there's lots of things we can all really relate to, but especially growing up. So can I ask what made you decide this specifically as a main point of both of your poems?
Um, I wrote this. I wrote this for the Hulma submission. So this was at the point, it was during the summer, like end of summer. So that time I think is a very pivotal moment in our lives where things are like going out of our way. We're losing things, we're gaining things, and that was just a very that was what was occupying my mind mostly. So it was a new period, a new era in my life, and those topics were what was occupying my mind. That's why.
End of summer, huh? That's true. It's a really, really emotional moment of change, especially for us since, hello, audience. If you didn't know, we're both grade 11 students. So, start of senior high. Can I ask if you are from USC before or if you transferred?
No, I think that's one of the reasons that I really chose, because um the reason I transferred to USC, and most of my friends from my old school, they transferred to other schools, so I really didn't have anybody to to talk to here. So that was like one of the reasons that I was very feeling it, the whole change thing.
That's true. Yeah, when you go into a new school, you really have to
Yeah.
you have to carve a whole new life because
Mm-mm.
you're meeting new people, and you can really feel that through the poems. Because especially in the first poem you presented the day before college, I feel like there's really that melancholy, yeah, melancholy, where it's like you're really enjoying what you have now, but at the same time, there's also that sadness that this is something that's only temporary.
Mm-mm.
So I really like that you're able to write it like that. And what do you think is the part of the poems that is really most striking for you that you want the audience to really think about for both of your pieces?
um the part for my first poem, I think the lines that actually struck me were, I mean, that really caught me the most were the feeling of the summer air whispers a prophecy of a future apart. And I think I want my audience to like really, what do you call that, to feel what I'm trying to say, because the feeling of change is, most of us take it for granted, like the feeling of knowing you're going to lose somebody. And it's something that we just rehearse. Oh, they're gonna go. It's fine. Just let them go. But no, these people are close to our hearts, so we just have to um, hold on to them for like as hard as much as we can. And for my second one, I think I haven't talked about my second one like at all yet. Actually,
It's
I just
okay.
realized now. Um, so the themes, like the what I really want my audience to like feel in this poem is like just be less hard on yourself. Like I think that was what the poem talks about a lot of things about being angry, being how you hurt yourself the most, but at the end you come to realization that you should be less hard on yourself. That's what you should do. So.
It's true. Yeah, I really think that those two themes really they go together, especially with that idea that new environment. So you really want to push yourself to be your best, to try and do good, because you want to make a good impression on everyone.
Yeah.
So like, oh, and also like I said earlier, Hulma plug. Her poetry is also going to be featured in the book that we are publishing soon. So,
Check it out,
guys, keep
guys.
an eye out, follow
Stay
our
tuned.
socials.
Stay
Her
tuned.
poetry is also going to be published in that book that I mentioned, that's still coming soon. So, thank you so much again, Nikki,
Yeah.
for sharing your poetry because, really understand what something like this, it's really personal from the heart.
Yeah.
So I can get what it would be like intimidating to really share it to an audience. Is there anything you'd like to say before we move on to our next poet?
Um. Oh. Hulma plug again, I guess. Hulma plug again. So thank you so much, Hulma, for for the environment, for empowering young writers, and all of this. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Nikki. So for our third speaker for this segment, we are introducing. Come on, get over here. Come on. Woo! This is our third poet of this segment, Charlize Gallias. Woo!
Hi, I'm Charlize Margaret P. Gallios from STEM 12 S11. So, my first poem is entitled These Wings Are Remembered. Wings of sage and teal rested inside a fragile veil where sunbeams as passerbys walk by the creature that once held life. It once rested on a lavender vervain when the world was blue, where guns were shot and men fought, families distraught during the war in 1942. A mother whose son left at 3, that her dear flew high, and that her love will reach him there in the blue skies. And that was These Wings Are Remembered. For my second poem, it is entitled A Flower Bloomed in Winter. A flower stood on white mountains of snow-wrapped leaves and frozen petals. The cone flower stood on pearl-white crystals through footsteps of soldiers during the Cold War. Echinacea danced with a chilly Arctic breeze and through roaring snowstorms humbly bent to defeat. A flower stood and fought the flakes as winter showers demise on the living. Thank you.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello.
So nice kayo. I love the way you pronounce your poems. I love the way you perform them with the deep language. So first, I want to say that I noticed like a common theme dyan sa mong poetry kay nature and maybe like cycles of things that you notice. How do you come about like how do you come up with that in your head? How do you write?
Actually, like, yung ana akong themes, cause like, uh, mostly I think about like how in every in every adversity there's always a hope in the end. There's like in there is no light without the dark. So we have to embrace the darkness to appreciate the light. So that's why especially during the pandemic, I wrote these during the pandemic. And so it kind of inspired me that even with these adversities, we as a society, as one community, we learned how to face those. So yeah.
Oh, nice kayo. Especially sa pandemic nga, di ta pwede manggawas jud, no? When maybe when you write, when you envision the nature, the flowers, the cycle, you find yourself back in that place just because of the words. It's so, nindot jud kayo. I'm a big fan. So, especially in These Wings Are Remembered, I love the second stanza. You use such deep language and you use like very kanang like unique or like uncommon words. So do you think that you like translate your emotions or thoughts better when you use these deep words?
Yes, mainly I use deep words because I love exploring my different vocabulary. It doesn't mean I have a wide vocabulary, but like I just research because I feel that it adds more depth to what I try to impart in my poem. Especially, I try to explore also my artist, my unsa ko ka artist, like my artistry ba, like para I will know my style. So by learning different words, I know that okay, maybe I like old English or maybe I like this kind like that.
Oh, nindot siya kay like when mabasa mo sa imong works or whatever, makakita dyan like variety. Like kanang murag lahi-lahi jud and murag nindot kay siya tan-awon kay maka kat-on sad ka no like when you kanang mo Google ka like Google define blank nanay kanang like origins and then like everything about the word and it's so nice jud because it's also an exploration like of the English language and when you string the words together put like best words best order murag nice jud kayo siya like not just aesthetically pleasing to the eyes but also like the meaning imo jud ma translate og tarong with these words. So when you wrote these poems sa pandemic na kay like kanang murag kanang the first like experience from each of the poems na imong ma-associate when you read it and you're like no yeah this happened to me like inana.
Yeah. For These Wings Are Remembered, I this is about grief. This is about death of a loved one, and when my pet died in during the pandemic, that's where like yeah, yeah, timing pa jud na natoy marag white butterfly pag die niya. So that's I got my um, inspiration and that's why and timing sa to pag pandemic akong papa sige tanaw og war movies so like sige sa tanaw og war movies and like dito nang nako gi-connect daghan sa diyak death sa war and then for A Flower Bloomed in Winter this is about like standing up when everyone seems so discouraged and um, I experienced that I think midterms day. Midterms like everyone was like di na nina ko kaya ang exams, di na nina ko kaya ang mga PT but like this is where I learned how to stand up. I was like saying na kaya ra ni. Kaya ra jud ni like bahala na nag like para nila di na nila kaya ra ni nako. Ano siya.
Exactly beautiful kayo ang imong katong these wings are remembered because initially, if you read or if you listen to the poem, you'd think that these are just things like experiences in life. But when you look deeper into it, there really is like a really deeper meaning coming from the heart, Jude. And especially like it's a poem about grief. Like maybe initially, dili ni mo think na it's about grief, but as they always say, you read a poem multiple times to yeah, thrice. Yeah, thank you, Miss Shivni. You read a poem thrice to really kind of like comprehend it or understand it. And I feel like mao dyan na ang akong mahuna when I read These Wings Are Remembered because of course eventually you do understand nga, oh, this is about grief. And it's so beautiful, Joe. So what other emotions do you feel like your poetry are like the source of your poetry, the emotions?
Mm, mostly my poems they align with healing, new beginnings, hope, kanang because I'm also like a Catholic na dako kay faith ni Lord. So through that, dira dyan ako na like kanang nakuha na like dapat jud like hopeful ra jud sa kinabuhi bisag unsa kalisod and like dili jud magpadala og like kanang sa negativity because in the end God will bless you ra jud like kung unsa ka bugat ing ana sa nakadako og blessings na iyang ihatag.
So, maka-understand jud ko ana kay ako sa di ka nang I'm also religious. Like in my poem mythology, mo jud na akong gipagawas like ara na ako gipagawas ang akong outlet for that kay of course like I said earlier, there's siya black and white nagkaroon og conflicting feelings pero of course at the end of the road jud with religion, you really do have faith and you really do have hope. Unya makita jud ang themes of hope sa imong poems, especially in a flower bloom in winter. Yes, yes. I loved your word choices because I remember your word choices like for the flower in the stanzas changes, but it actually is the same thing like a cycle, and it's so nice. So I thank you so much for sharing your poems with us,
Thank
and
you.
also thank you for giving us like background and ideas that maybe we may have not known previously, no? So thank you for sa atong Hulma. That's the last of our Hulma poets. And also, I would like to say that Hulma and its other poets that are not here today are releasing a chapbook in the coming future, mga couple weeks. So please keep updated with us if you want to read it and if you want to hear from the other poets in Hulma as well. Round of applause. Yay. So
Thank you, Hulma members, for reading your poems.
Yay!
So, we are going to take another break so that you guys can, relax, get some water, get some food so you don't miss any poetry. And we're going to have some more music by Astigmatism.
astigmatism! Woo!
But before we go on that intermission, we'd like to tell you that on October 26th, we're doing another thing at Palmgrass, Dili Ingon Nato, a poetry reading and poetry writing contest with Willa.
Women in literary arts.
Woo!
Let's empower women, guys.
Let's empower women,
Abante babae.
Especially since the last three speakers are all women, so we're, empowering women. Woo! So here's Astigmatism. Oh my god, voice crack.
Hello. Mic test. Mic test.
Okay, so once again, for astigmatism.
wala. Search mo ng lahat sa internet, naubos na ang load sa happiness. Naghihintay ka lang ng may makukulit. What are you waiting for? Call my number, nandito lang ako. Now I wish you let me know. Sino-sino bang tinatawagan mo, nandito lang naman ako. Kung saan-saan ka ba naghahanap, nandito lang naman ako. Sino-sino bang tinatawagan mo, nandito lang naman ako. Kung saan-saan ka ba naghahanap, nandito lang naman ako. Ako na lang, sana tayo na lang dalawa. Saan naman mo pala, ako na lang, sana ako na lang, pwede lang I wish. Ako na lang I guess. Ako na lang ang paborito mong mamiss. Oh yes, hindi ko babasagin ang iyong ring. Whatever man ang gusto mong gawin, sabay sa jamming ang kadulot mo. Sige, kasi what are you waiting for? Call my number ng konado. Nandito lang ako. Now I wish you let me know. Sino-sino ba tinatawagan mo, nandito lang naman ako. Kung saan-saan ka pa nakahanap, nandito lang naman ako. Sino-sino ba tinatawagan mo, nandito lang naman ako. Kung saan-saan ka pa nakahanap, nandito lang naman ako. Ako na lang, sana tayo na lang dalawa. Ako na lang, sana ako na lang, sana ako na lang. Pagsinta, ba't di papatulan ang suyong nakuha? Tayong umaasa, bigla at talunan. Ikaw ang natulan at ilang talunan ko. Ako ang sasagot sa'yo. kabilang pero ako ang sasakit sa'yo.
Thank you again,
Everybody clap
Astigmatism
for Astigmatism.
from the USC SHS Sonata
Sonata
Band
Band
Club. So before we go on to our next part, we gotta tell you of events that are happening here.
At Palmgrass.
You say this one.
So on October 27, we have Hadla Hadla sa Palmgrass, and
And on October 30, we have lots of stuff going on. We have a Visayan Mythical Creatures cosplay contest here at Palmgrass. And we're also having Di Ingon Nato, the Enchanted Cities in Visayas, with historian Dr. George Borinaga.
woo! So hopefully makakita minimo diri sa Palmgrass para maka excite sa gamay, no?
Yeah, and thank you again for giving us the opportunity to really have this space to talk about our poetry. You know, the future of Cebuano poetry is in the youth like us.
Yeah, that's so true. Like
So
just like how
true.
Jose Rizal said. You know what he said, Aryan?
What did he say?
Ang kabataan, ang pag-asa ng bayan.
Woo! Shout out to Jose Rizal.
Shout out to Jose Rizal.
We love you.
Yeah.
So for our next portion, we are having our open mic, like we mentioned.
Open mic.
So open mic, we have a registration sheet over there. You can go sign up and you can read your poetry here. Woo! So we're gonna start the open mic now.
Yes.
Come on. You can. Oh, also open mic people. You can stand or you can sit. You know, whichever you want, whichever is good with you. Yeah. May I start? Introducing our first poet for open mic. Woo!
So hello everyone. My name is Nathan Anton Fat of STEM 12D1, and today I'm going to be reading my poem, Kingdom Underground. They'll say that I'm an envious man, a spiteful man, an ungrateful man, a man whose mind is not at ease. Sometimes I wonder if my mind is ill. You see, when he returned long after he rose, I felt the uttermost pit in my stomach that I ever had in years. How dare he return so high and mighty, so foolish to deny the kingdom he promised. And so I spoke unto him, you come before me strong and proud, but do you hear my voice? Do you see this world I've known, or just the kingdom beneath your throne? Tell me, what is it that you've truly earned? Is it the power you claimed, or the lands burned? All that sweat, all that effort, all for nothing, I say unto thee. Look at the land you promised us, the land you owed me, and tell me that it's just as we imagined from the stars above. Sometimes I really do wonder if my mind is ill. But I'll tell you this, a man's mind is only as well as the land that surrounds it. Oh, me, I'm an underground man, born in an underground land, from a land where sunlight is a distant memory. If you were to ask a scholar, they'd say I wasn't in poverty, yet if you were to ask me, I tell you of this divide, this chasm of inequality. Where is the life I was promised? Where is the peace? What is the use of greener grass if it all goes back to the upper class? You show me these charts, these graphs that speak of change and prosperity, but nobody speaks of the underground man. Nobody speaks of me. All these leaders, they mention how if buckets are mishandled, it can leak. But if there's no water, we're all bound to feel weak. I paused when no reply entered my ears. The silence was deafening. So I shifted my senses. My eyes scolded him before I spoke once more. And so I say this unto you. How dare you rest while violence reigns and the innocent are locked up in chains? How dare you speak of peace and light while justice falters in the flight? Why does corruption always stain the land while fairness slips from every hand? Why must the law bend for the strong while the weak are silenced, deemed wrong? And so they say this unto you, get out. I'm no fool. And just before I closed the door, I spoke to him once more. No, wait, come back, answer me. Instead of an answer, instead of a word or whisper or shout, he turned back at me and gave me an image, a look I would always remember for long gone past. He smiled at me, the grace of 1,000 splendid suns. And when I looked back at him, I realized that the answer I was searching for might have stood right there. You see, the kingdom was underground all along. I simply lost sight of what I was looking for. Eden came from within. I simply failed to tend it more. When I meditated, long after he left, I felt the uttermost pit in my stomach that I ever had in years. How dare I ask for so much more, so foolish to deny, ignore the kingdom before me.
Wow, that was very striking. Thank you so much for performing here. Next up, we have Iago Francis Cantillas from Hulma performing The Echo. Ang tiyo sa Hulma. Woo! Woo!
The tide is sunk and golden dust bereft. But when it rusts over and peels into deep blues, watch the waters reach for your feet. If you listen carefully, the sound crashing in and out, and you listen well, you will hear it. An echo, a melody, a whisper, a shell washes in, retaining its crown-like figure, adorned with streaks of pink and gold. You can hear it. Enter the water, child. Does not the siren lure? Empty only in appearance. The water is richer than the dust you stand on. The sand sinks to the mold of your steps and clings to your feet. Though it is dark, the water is clearer. Now you rise with the tide. The water rushes into your ears, the song that lulls curiosity and fills the empty land. You hear it.
Wow! From Iago! Woo! Next up, we have Kelsey Maris Chan, also from Hulma! Woo! Performing Hasula. You can sit.
Hasula. The bells start to ring. She stands, a ghost orchid trapped in a dome, its petals beneath the sun's cruel gaze, heavy like the gold she wore. Soul traced the sky 6 times. She still felt the vines curl through, fragile as these pallid petals. A bomb that fell beneath the dome. Outside, the world thrums with life, while she
dance in daylight, a wilted bloom, caught beneath what could have been.
Woo! Thank you, Kelsey! Idol. And next up, we have Renzo Flordelis, the editor-in-chief and president of Hulma! Woo! Performing Progress.
Hi guys. Kawawa eh. Um, Shout out sa kong papa. Okay, progress. This holy city, paragon of cement gravel aggregates, will you ever stop building? Your arteries plaque shut, forced open by iron stents. They pour concrete in your mouth, but you are never full. This revered island of charcoal thunderclouds. In supplication, I ask you to clear my lungs of cruel embers, because my clothes are matted with your staticky dust, and I am suffocated by just how quickly you swell up. This sanctified city of petrochemical smog, blessed be your pistons that accelerate to congest, and sanctify the gas pipelines snaking wildly in the pier. May they burn unassailed to nourish this hungry city. This blessed island perpetually in metamorphic transience. I pledge allegiance to the plastic sachet economy. Feed me a mouthful of dead wires. Don't kill me, I love you. Okay?
Woo! That's my president! Woo! Theo! Woo! So, from the last three performers, we will be having a short interview with them. Guys, sit down, guys. Come on! Woo! Paging Kelsey, Francis Iago, and Renzo Flordelis. Please come to the front. Come to the front.
Come on, sit down.
Please.
Where's? Yeah. Okay, first, before we begin the interview, Hulma pins.
Oh, yeah.
Hulma pins. Okay, so this is just gonna be a short interview, guys. Okay. So, can you give us some insight on your writing process? You know, why you chose the topics that you presented and how you're able to portray it into your writing? Start with our editor-in-chief, Renzo Flordelis, idol.
Oh, this is embarrassing. I wrote that poem last year because mura na ako na so. Oh. Okay, the first idea I had in my head was kanang a love letter to Cebu City. Pero mura siya kanang like kapila na gibalik-balik kon. Mura siya like toxic relationships sa syudad. Na it was a time nga like sa una akong eskwelahan malakwan ra like 2 minutes karon mag-commute na jud ko kay layo na. And sa akong mga commute naka-realize ko wow. Di man kaya ni siya nindot kay nga syudad pero like you know like this is the only place you know ganit. Yeah. Mara to.
Would you like to speak next? Another Hulma execom, Kelsey, idol.
So my poem, I wrote it last night, Rajud. Like it was 3 a.m. and I was like, my thoughts were really like storming in, and so like I don't know why, but I really like writing late at night. I just feel like the ambience is just like quiet, and then you can like organize your emotions. And so this poetry is a women love women poetry. And so since like the theme is women empowerment, I would like to empower my fellow women to express their emotions more. And yeah, I want to express my emotions through poetry. And so yeah. Yay!
Okay, let's go, guys.
You're up.
Hold on. We'll repeat
You're
the
up.
question to me, would you?
Okay, I will repeat the question to you. Do this for the women. We're empowering women today. Iago. So, can you tell us about your poetry writing process and why you chose the topic that you did? Maybe how you're able to portray your thoughts or your feelings into writing?
Okay, well. Very embarrassing. Oh. Well, like when first write something, I usually look to, because like I have this notes just full of quotes from all of the books that I've read, the ones that really stuck out to me. Yes, of course you know, but these people don't. Okay, and well, yeah, that's like when I think of something to write, I usually try to find a quote that I can sort of recontextualize to give me a new situation that I can like sort of center my poem around. And this poem in particular, The Echo, was just because like there's this like a magazine on Instagram, right? And they've got this poem of the month thing. Their theme is Whispers of the Witches. And like, hey, I did not say their name, okay? The people who know will know. Anyway, and I thought of how sirens, they tend to be very magical, and there's this sort of allure to them. Typically, that's what they're associated with, sirens. But it's also the same with witches. So how I connected the two ideas, Whispers of the Witches and the conch, the shell, and the ocean, was that like when you listen to a conch shell, it's supposedly, right, you can hear the ocean. And in the poem, it's sort of like the ocean is the siren's call. That's basically the idea behind it. Uh, and lately, right, like I've been trying to incorporate what I've learned from all the workshops, right, like central metaphor and other stuff. Well, if I go through the whole list, right? If I go through the whole list, it will take a while. Okay, but like just remember Sir Jason's commandment, you know? Show don't tell.
Yeah, guys, show don't tell. Show
Is sure
don't tell.
is he here?
So,
Okay, let's move along.
thank you, Hulmists.
Thank you, Hulma members,
Hulma
for sharing
members.
Hulma Pride. We're gonna go on to our next batch of open mic speakers.
We have Sol de Litras from Litras community performing Ganahan Ko Mahimong Tubig.
Okay, good afternoon. Pasensya ay kayo na simang jugo kay naagira jud bitaw ko and then okay, naagi ko and timing sad nga medyo hilig ko poetry. I published actually 9 books already. And this one kay na-write lang nako siya kanina, padong ko dire, okay? Ang title is Ganahan Ko Mahimong Tubig. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig kay gamito ni mama sa paglutog ni latang manok nga Bisaya. Init sa tiyan, sabaw tamis, ug ibahog dayon sa kanon nga mais. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig. Kay bisan ibutang ko sa supot, biyaan sa bugnang palibot, magpabilin kong isog, magkagahi. Walay kahadlok pasagdan, adlaw man o gabi. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig. Kay bisan sa takuri ko isulod, itak ang saabuhan nga abog. Painitan man og magkulo ka bildo, dali ra ko makaikyas, mahimo kong inalisngaw, lisod pugngan bisan asa mo lahos og malakaw. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig. Kay bisan walay mga pako, sa kahanginan pwede ko maglutaw-lutaw. Sa mga tao, eroplano og langgam, maglantaw-lantaw. Ug kung kapoy na, sobra na ang kabugaton nga akong gidala, pwede ko muhilak. Ug sa pagtagak sa akong mga luha, bisan asa ra ko mapunta, unya, muasdang ang akong purna. Makibagay sa dagat, kanal o sa sapa. Kung ako kay saluron, sa dako man nga banga o sa gamay nga balde, akong porma kamao mo angay-angay. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig, pero kakapoy ba? Kay hasta sa dili na ako kinanan, lawas, hugaw ug labunon kay limpyuhan ko. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig, pero kahasol ba? Bisan sa balay, merkado, trabahuan, ospital o simbahan, mga kinabuhi salbahon ko. Ganahan ko mahimong tubig pero dili na lang siguro. Magkuan na lang siguro ko kanang kolorosas nga maya o bantres nga ibunot-bunot o baligya piso-piso o tres sa kilid sa gawas sa ganghaan, kilid sa kadalanan o sa eskwelahan. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker, our next performer is Einstein performing her piece, period. Let's move out of frame.
Stay in frame.
Na-revise na yun ako gamay, pero it's still the same thing. Okay, let me start. I am letting myself bleed into the toilet. Scarlet petals dive into the bold water that the wings of my pillow failed to catch. I whisper a prayer. Lord, I am your lamb of sacrifice, though please have mercy on my flower's nectar. Yet he does not concede, so I chant it twice. Most of the time, Roses greets me in the morning. Hello again, familiar foe, ready to intrude, to splatter crimson paint all over my nude. A silent ascension in the night on my bed sheets. My wrath spilled through the fabric. My insides filled by your flourishing spikes that prick, as wine, along with my wrath, spilled through the fabric. I wore my favorite underwear today. Pink bows and flower patterns, all ruined by clots of vermilion, seeping with stench. An escape of sap, my garment is all drenched. I curse at your timing, your fury awake arrival. A wretched warning whispers of life eternal. Here lies a heart attack below the stomach. Go back to your casket before I grieve the dead. While I curl up into a ball, buried in a burrow, as the moon finishes 30 dances I dread in bed. In a cycle of wilting wallows, my bowel roars and bellows. A quiet ache blooms, your root stems nothing but sorrows. Oh, roses, you only bring me great gloom. As you flow through my womb of hollow, the world moves on, but I do not follow. Still hostage by your endless torture, there's an undying flow of clenches in my trenches and blows of red punches. But I got the blues. I confess to another, Mother Mary, to whom I call thee, though I do not worship you, but hear my plea. O Blessed Virgin, ever so innocent, ever so pure, with my prayer, grant me serene solace to the throbbing thorns. With your grace, only you can fathom the feminine. Heed the deafening hush of my silent screams. Amen. That's all.
Thank you. And our next poet is Lyril Arnados with their poem, Imoha Ako A.
Hello. I'll start. Naglakaw pa dong sa eskwelahan, nakakita ko rugby boy sa dalan. Nakapakunta na nasa gagalingan kung unsa nga paglaom ang pwede makumkum sa inanang sitwasyon. Ang plastic ayaw buhii. Maradonay nakapanindot sa ilang kinabuhi. Ang gutom mahapsay, ang gutom mawagtang ang kinabuhi mahapsay. Dito ra daw sila nakasuway nga dili maglaway. Ang pagkaon nga lami, bisag ang karne nga hilaw, wala pa daw sila nakatilaw. Misod ko sa classroom, naminaw sa maestra, pero wag yapon nawa sa huna-huna kung say kaugmaon na nila. Pwede ko mangutana kung say pwede na ko mabuhat samtang bata pa. Ay wala na nila. Ingon sila. Badlungon sa gwardiya kay sakit daw sa mata. May bungsod ta. Sa labog din na nila nga nataw sila. Nganong ang pagtanaw sila mga mata kay dautan bisag bata pa. Manguot na mangawat. Pero ako sa disan ako madawat. Wako ni hangyo sa akong mamang nga mataw ko, pero nganong di ninyo tagaan og importansya ang akong presensya. Ang kalibutan gatuyok sa kwarta. Di ba bali manunta? Ngang ato mga tiyan, permi masudlan. Gitudlo sa maestrang ekonomiya. Unsa man ang ilang sala? Nganong sila'y gaalsa sa gibulsa sa atong sinaligan nga hostisya. Pamuhi na. Makauli na jud ko sa akong limpyo nga kama. O kung moadto ba ko sa nitutan nga pasyalan. Pero pagawas na ko sa gate, gahigda gyapon sa dalan. Nagunit siyang plastic nga di daw niya kayang buhian. Pariharamig dalan giagian pero nakita na ako ang diferensya sa among distansya. Nanira di ang kalibutan, surti-surti lang kung ginsay pinakadako o ginansya. Nilakaw ko pa doon sa jeepney stop. Nagtuto ko siya mga gidala. Nakita na ko iyang pangandoy o iyang kinabuhi nga di jud magkaiusa. Tutok po siya na ako. Nagunahon na, kanasa makasuway sa kalami sa kadato. Gamit lang ang amo mga mata, nagkasinabot ming duha nga parihamig pangutana. Ngano kaya sa parihamig planeta, pero lahi lagi may kalibutan. Ang pobre, ang dato, ang edukado, ug ang bugo, ug ako ang nasiyang posisyon, lahi kaya akong reaksyon. Ngano man inanira di ang kinabuhi, puno og pighati, wa ba ko'y kontrol sa akong mga desisyon nga gidala sa akong emosyon? Di ba pwede nga kaning duha ka kalibutan na magkaiusa nga kaming duha nakatarong og eskwela? Nihunong ang jeep sa akong atubangan. Mo naman din akong sakyan. Ako na siyang gibiyaan, nagpabiling naghigda sa dalan. Pero sige lang, puhon, atong tinudon ang imong mga paglaom.
Thank you. And our next speaker was Adam Gaviola performing Disabled. Who is also one of the band members of Sonata, which you've been listening to.
Hello, so this is my poem that got me in Hulma. It's called Disabled. To you who shines brightly, to I who shades deeply. I love and lust, but never will it change me. Gaze at me longer, and I shall burn along with you. A dreamer, I say, the late night fluorescent light at midnight, they're bright. Oh, darling, the next time you touch a soul, please make sure of your answer. One last cry for you to remember. Oceans, I'm washed like waves. Every person passes by. I constantly hope for an instant that I'll see you. I am no fool, but rather I'm somewhat of a dreamer. A dream filled with stars, and I, one of them, is just a part of your galaxy. On every motion and every sight, I stick to you like glue, deeply longing for a clue. Please don't be any more blue. In my world, to your glass-iced heart, far beneath your breath, such kindness, unscathed, slowly wailing and deliberately comforting. Burst me to laughter. Eventually, I shall shatter. Agony of sirens, looped holes adrift from reality. White skin with fine lips, bright eyes and fine hips. With an enormous heart, life is no more cruel. Your eyes, they weaken my vision. You're a sweet harmony that my ear longs to hear. You are gold and I am just silver. You are rare and I am common. When will our worlds revolve? When you are too deaf to hear and I am too blind to see. My love, is this all will ever be? That's all. Thank you.
Wow! So next up, we have Maria Jan Gurito from USC performing Zombie Girl. Everybody give her a round of applause! Woo! Yeah!
Hi, this is Zombie Girl. Last Tuesday, I ate a spoonful of mungos, leaving the rest for my cat to maul while I spill my guts all over the toilet seat. Guts skin their teeth. In my throat resides a rotting carcass, drowned and torn by gurgling acid. Maggots devour what's left of my desire, gnawing at my guilt until I am stripped to the bone. Wednesday, the mungos swirl clockwise down the sink. I stab the lumps and the larvae down with a leaving an absence in its wake. Thursday and Friday, I do it all over again. Today, carrion sinks below the overflowing murk. My father wrenches the pipes open and pristine white tiles are stained with brown goo, filling the room with the smell of decay. I apologize to my mother and my father. To the gracious Virgin Mary, to whom I owe my lithe frame. Tomorrow I will scoop up the residue, cup it in my decomposing palms, and swallow it whole. That's all. Thank you.
Woo! That was wow! Amazing. Woo! So for the last walk-in, we have Mary Margaret Nakwa from USJR performing Silly Girl. Woo!
Um, you are a silly girl. You think twisting your ankles and breaking your arms will give you a real reason to hurt. You will lay and think and ponder and grieve the burn that runs up your thighs or persists at the tips of your shoulder, but you will not extinguish what lingers in the corners of your mind and in every vein that brings you everything you cannot stand up to live for. You are a silly girl. You think kicking until every muscle in your leg cramps and leaves you in writhing pain for days will make up for the injustice that has incinerated half of the time you have let dawdle. You have screamed, cried, and fought for the ending you wanted to live, but room will not be made for a silly girl's futile efforts to save what does not need saving. You are a silly girl, and your saints will not cry for you. Your days will pass, and you will grieve every bit of the mind coated with the love you have tried so hard to fight for. But do not get confused. You are nothing more than flesh and bones. You will not be saved.
Woo! That was so nice. So that was the last of the open mic.
So from here, it seems like we've reached the end of our first episode of Hulma and Friends, our poetry reading radio show.
Yay!
So,
How was it?
It was great. How was it for you?
So great!
Woo! How was it for our audience? I want to hear you guys shout, woo! Come on, guys! People! I don't know if our online audience heard that, but if you enjoyed it, woo! In the chat, everyone! Woo! So again, we'd like to thank our very very nice people who let us use their place, Palmgrass Cebu Heritage Hotel.
Thank you, Palmgrass,
for letting us use this space for our poetry reading. And we'd like to thank again Hulma, our club, for giving us the youth this opportunity to share our poetry.
Shout out to our moderator, Miss Shivni Kleiskida.
And we'd like to thank all of the poets who came here to share their poetry today. To really expose yourself to the world. Yeah.
Yes!
So again, thank you again for everyone for joining us today with our theme for our very first episode of Hulma and Friends, Empowering Women and Empowering Educators. To all you people in the audience out there, I hope that you are feeling inspired, you're feeling creative to write, Woo! And before we go, we're gonna have one last song from Astigmatism!
na rin si Ponpon. Shoutout ni Jared Fernandez. Shoutout ni Anastine Ang. Shoutout ni Xavier Cadwick. Shoutout Xavier Canoy. And Junila Morris, as well as Carl Cabarubias. Shoutout ni Mariel Jan Gadito. So this will be our last performance. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the event. Gusto ka bang sabihin? Ba't di mapagaling? May hindi makatingin. Sana huwag mo na itong palipasin. At subukan butasin sa mga sinabi mo na ipagpapalagad sa akin. Huwag mong sasabihin na hindi mo na naman ito. Ang ibig ko handa, ibigay ko'y paglayan mo. Parang naakala na kung isang buming na walang sasampahin. Hindi ko man ito ipakita. Abot na itang pagin sa mga isinabi ko na ibang nararapat sa akin. Tunay ko mamahalin. 3, 2, 1, everybody say! Huwag mo sasabihin na hindi mo na naman ito. Ang ibig ko handa, ibigay ko'y paglayan mo. Nagsagawin, sinutuloy ang siya. At sa umaga, langit na hapos mo. Huwag mong sasabihin na hindi mo na naman ito. Ang ibig ko handa, ibigay ko'y paglayan mo. Huwag mong sasabihin na hindi mo na naman ito. Ang ibig ko handa, ibigay ko'y paglayan mo. Huwag mong sasabihin na hindi mo na naman ito. Ang ibig ko handa, ibigay ko'y paglayan mo. Thank you so much. Thank you. One more. Okay, so we will perform Dasal-Dasal by Zig.
Thank you so much.
Are we okay? Come on, Cal.
There.
What?
Huh?
Okay. Thank you everyone for coming to the first episode of Hulma and Friends, our poetry reading radio show. Join us next month. We're doing this again next month.
Spooky season edition, guys.
Ooh, thank you again to Palmgrass Cebu Heritage Hotel for letting us use their space.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to Hulma again. We love this club.
Hulma.
Hulma.
If you guys want to keep up with Hulma, we have a Facebook page, Hulma. We have an Instagram at Hulmistry, an upcoming Substack, and please don't forget that we have an upcoming chapbook in maybe like next 2 weeks.
Soon. Coming soon. We have a chat book. And it's gonna feature some more writing, not just poetry. We got prose, we got fiction, non-fiction, all coming in our chat book coming out soon. So keep updated for that if you want to support us. I think that's everything. I'm
all.
Arian, one of your hosts. And this is follow us.
Yeah.
This is our page, by the way.
He's Aryan.
She's Scal. We're your hosts. Thank you. Bye-bye.